Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
You've heard the dragons roar. Now it's time to hear the ocean's answer. Welcome back to Avis's next adventure, the continuation of Avis and the Promise of Dragons. I'm Audrey Worsley, your guide into the deep. This is Avis and the Call of the Kraken by Heather McQuillan, published by Ahoy, an imprint of the Cuba press in 2024. Ready? Hold your breath. The sea is waking. Avis woke up in her bed, in her room, in her own house at the dead end of Menagerie Street. On the bedside table was her new phone, and beside that was her dragon's tear, resting on its pouch. It was a swirl of muted colour, so Humbert was awake, but he wasn't communicating with her. Be like that then, thought Avis. On the floor was her backpack, filled with all the things she would need for the sailing trip. It was Monday, the day Mrs. Adler said she would tell Dad about the fight with Archie. Her tummy squirmed. When she checked the mirror, her sandfly bites had faded, but the zit on her nose was bigger. It went shiny when she put sunblock on it. She wondered if she could tell her dad she felt sick and needed to stay home. Ralph was flustered, getting ready for work after his time away, and was quickly ironing his shirt on the dining table. Theo whined at the back door, wanting food and a walk. "Sorry, boy," said Avis. "I'll take you for a you-know-what after school." She didn't find the right moment to warn her dad about the phone call from Mrs. Adler before he left for work. That was going to be something she'd have to face later. After he'd gone, Avis locked the house behind her and patted her phone in her pocket. She hoped she'd get some time on the sailing trip to figure out some of its features. As she hung her house key around her neck, it chinked against the dragon tear, and a realization clanged in her mind. She wasn't wearing her school uniform today, and had her swimsuit on underneath her t-shirt and shorts, as they'd been told to do. But they'd be wearing wetsuits when they were sailing, and there was nowhere to hide the dragon's tear inside a tight wetsuit. She couldn't leave it at home. What if Humbert needed her? What if Mother tried to communicate again? She needed to think of a solution before she had to get changed. Something else to worry about. Avis called in at Melinda's on the way to school, and was delighted when Humbert came running up to her, his tail gliding across the dewy grass. "I was sad last night without you," he rumbled, swinging his head from side to side. "Were you sad without me?" Avis remembered what she'd been thinking before she went to sleep, about how easy life would be without Humbert. "Of course," she said. "Liar." Humbert rose up and bared his teeth. "I can tell when you're lying, you know." "I have a lot to think about," said Avis. "You could come back and stay with me if you really wanted to. If you really missed me." There was a slyness to Humbert's words. "Or," said Avis in her snarkiest voice, "I could go live with Mum in Australia, if I wanted to. Or I could fly to the moon if I wanted to, if I needed to." "Now you're just being silly." Humbert drew in a long sniff through his flared nostrils. His eyes twirled a little, and he changed his demeanour once again, leaning his head forward. "That girl Lulu Not Lulu came over last night, with Mr. Papaloo. I didn't even growl." "That was good of you," said Avis sarcastically. "Why were they here?" "Oh, some new secret they're up to. Didn't they tell you?" "Oh well, nobody tells me anything either." His amber eyes gleamed as he watched Avis's reaction. "I told you Lulu Not Lulu wasn't trustworthy." He sat back and picked at his front teeth with an ivory claw. Avis's thoughts sent blood rushing from her heart out to the edges of her body. What is Lulu up to? And Melinda too? Are they going to tell our secret to someone else? How could she even think of doing that without talking to me? Avis brushed past Humbert and stormed up into the house. Princess sidled up to Humbert. "I told you that would stir things up," Avis heard her say. "Morning, Avis," Melinda called cheerily, as if she wasn't up to anything. But Avis could see a couple of backpacks on the kitchen table, a bedsheet rolled up on top, and a clipboard with a list sitting on top of it all. Melinda was definitely up to something. "Why were Lulu and Mr. Papaloo here?" Avis demanded. You can't make decisions about the dragon without telling me. I'm sick of people making decisions without telling me. Whoa. Melinda raised her hands in surrender. I'd never make a decision about Humbert without you. This is about the drilling rig. I contacted some friends and we've planned a protest. There's a ship scheduled to take the next shift of workers and supplies out to the rig today. It's leaving the port this morning, so we're going to form a blockade across the shipping channel to get publicity. Noah is taking me out on his boat, and Lulu wants to report on it for her school paper. Avis felt foolish. She jumped to the wrong conclusion and got angry without even finding out the truth. So Lulu isn't going to tell anyone about Humbert? I certainly hope not. She painted a banner for us. Melinda pointed at the rolled-up sheet. Won't you get in trouble? Won't the police come? That's the point, said Melinda. We want to draw attention. And yes, we might possibly get arrested. But not until after we've made our statement. It should be quite impressive. We've got protest boats launching from every possible place within the harbour. It will look as if we're all out on a normal boating trip or kayak until on the signal we all change direction and head for the shipping channel to intersect the supply ship. The media have been advised that something is going on in the harbour this morning. They're on standby, but they don't know what or why. The police don't have many boats, so it will hopefully take them some time to reach us, and by then we'll have unfurled our banners and be on the news, and people will be talking about the drilling rig. But you can't get arrested. Avis was thinking about Humbert and Princess. If Melinda ended up in prison, she'd have to take full responsibility for 2 dragons. Mr. Papaloo is the skipper, so he might get a fine, said Melinda. But it'll be okay. The protest group has lawyers and funds aside to pay for fines. Melinda noticed that Avis wasn't in her school uniform. Oh, I forgot. You've got your sailing trip today. Well then, I guess you'll be there to see all the action. Will it get nasty? Asked Avis. She'd seen protests on TV where small ships had been hosed with water cannons or overturned by bigger ships. It's a non-confrontational protest, so we'll keep our distance. It's primarily for the media. Avis groaned. She'd had enough bother with the media when her mother had gotten together with Aaron. She shuddered at the memory of sneaky pictures of her and Drake in gossip magazines. When it was time to leave, Humbert didn't say goodbye, but he followed her along the driveway, grumping about how friends should listen to their friends' advice and not ignore them, and how friends should be inclusive and tell their friends what they're up to and not keep secrets from them, and how friends should apologize if they did something wrong and just not storm off like... Avis unlocked the gate. Don't bother calling me if you need me today, he said. I've got important things to do. I won't need you, Avis said. And I won't need to be needed. Humbert turned around and farted loudly. Avis was blasted with the full rotten egg stench. So lame. Grow up, she snapped and shut the gate. The minibus was parked outside the school, and kids named A to E were assembled in the courtyard with their backpacks and windproof jackets. Mr. Hawke, wearing baggy shorts and a floppy sun hat, was hovering with a checklist over carry tubs of first aid equipment and extra towels. Mrs. Adler tapped Avis on the shoulder. I know we had an appointment for that restoration meeting today, but I'm told both you and Archie are in the sailing group this morning. So... She paused to allow some kids who had been listening in to move away. Can we get it over quickly before you go? You and Archie in my office. The bus won't go without you. Avis stood at the office door, her heart heavy. She'd wished she had faked a sickie. Then she wouldn't have to worry about doing this restoration or going sailing or worry about bumping into Melinda's protest on the harbour. She could have used the time to make up with Humbert. As soon as Archie and Avis entered Mrs. Adler's office, the principal was called away with lovely Sandra, holding out the phone. You two, take a seat, said Mrs. Adler. I'll be right back. Avis didn't need anyone to explain what she had done wrong. She took one look at the bruise on Archie's cheekbone and blurted out her apology. I'm so sorry I punched you, Archie. Why did you do it? Archie asked. I wanted to stop Drake from bullying me. How? By bullying me? No, I'm not... Avis stuttered into the silence. She wanted to explain why she'd done it, but all she could think of was how hopeless she felt and how she needed a friend and how her whole life was in turmoil. Drake squashed a banana in my pocket. That had nothing to do with me, said Archie, running his fingers over his bruised cheekbone. You're his friend, said Avis, and you broke my lunchbox. She remembered it as if it was yesterday, the boys kicking her Disney princess lunchbox along the footpath and laughing as it cracked in half. Then she recalled that Archie hadn't been laughing. I felt sorry about that, said Archie. I should have tried to stop them, but... Then they would have bullied you, she said, as this became clear. I'm not friends with Drake and Conan and William and them anymore. My counsellor says they're a negative influence. Avis hadn't thought of Archie as the sort to go to the counsellor. But then she hadn't realised that Bruno was visiting the school counsellor either. I'm sorry, she said again. That's okay, said Archie. I deserved it for how I behaved last year. Then he grinned. Lesson learned. Don't mess with Avis the Bravest. Not Mavis, or Avis Rental Car, or Ravis the Raving Lunatic. Avis the Bravest. She finally had a nickname she liked. Avis let out one long breath as Mrs. Adler returned. It's all sorted, said Archie. Well done, said Mrs. Adler. Have a great time sailing. Avis breathed a long sigh of relief. Hold on a minute, Avis, said Mrs. Adler. Is your dad back in town? On the minibus, Avis took a window seat and was surprised when Archie took the seat next to her. Drake Snelling made silly, smoochy noises in their direction. Hey, Ravis, he said, got yourself a boyfriend and a big fat zit all in one day. Way to go. He carried on past to take the back seat with his mate Conan, where they played with someone's phone. Avis' fists clenched. Archie gave her a warning glance. She turned and watched the streets pass by, so he couldn't see her lips trembling. Avis the Bravest, she thought. I need to live up to my new name. Mr. Hawke checked they all had their seatbelts on. Then, using what Avis could only guess was some kind of inbuilt teacher radar, he strode to the back row and held out his hand. Conan dropped the phone into his teacher's palm. You can get it back after I see a note from your parents. Avis felt the weight of the phone in her pocket. Her fingers fumbled for the mute button on the side. On the drive to the harbour, Avis considered the ways she and Archie had sorted things out so easily, and she decided to sort things out with Humbert right away. She didn't want them to be mad at each other for a moment longer. But when she touched the dragon tear at her chest, it stayed cold and hard and silent. Find them. Let him sulk a little longer, she thought. It can wait. Mr. Hawke drove the minibus through the well-lit tunnel to the harbour. The engine groaned as it made the tunnel's steep climb before heading back down again past big fuel tanks to the car park by the yacht club, where they were greeted by a team of enthusiastic sailing instructors. Hi, team, one announced with a grin. I'm Freddie, and helping me today are Libby, Charlotte, and Sam. 8 Optimist yachts were lined up near the boat ramp, each on their own little blue-wheeled trailer. It's a perfect day, boomed Freddie and indicated the smooth water, ruffled slightly by a gentle breeze. The sky was blue, and the sea blue-grey, and the hills were a mixture of brown, green, and yellow. In the middle of the curving harbour, an island rose from the water. Koreke Island was covered in gorse and pine needles and rocky outcrops, not the thick bush like Makanui. The harbour was crowded with buzzing boats, sleek kayaks, and unfurled white sails. Avis blocked the sun with her hand to search for Noah's Ark. Maybe they were on the other side of the island? She couldn't see the port or the supply ship from here, but she could see the channel that led to open sea, and beyond that to the trench and the home of the Kraken. The sailing instructors led the class to a nearby shipping container to fit them all for wetsuits and life vests. Then they were directed towards 2 of the sheds to get changed. Avis's front door keys fit snugly under the neoprene wetsuit, but the dragon's tear made an obvious lump. She checked if Humbert wanted to talk yet, but the tear was still dark, so she shoved it down in the bottom of her backpack along with her phone, undies, and a change of clothes. Everyone dumped their bags on the gravel beside the minibus, but Avis placed hers carefully, draping her towel over the top. She looked and spotted Drake snarling, watching her. His expression suggested he might be up to something. It was fake innocent, a sneaky, snaky look. Avis the bravest, she thought. Today I will think positively. Then she held her head high and walked over to her waiting optimists. Freddie told them they would be sailing in pairs, sharing a boat, taking turns and watching out for each other. They were assigned partners alphabetically, so Avis was paired with Archie. Drake was partnered with Ariana, who complained so loudly that Mr. Hawk said she could swap with Conan. Ariana ran to Caitlin and they hugged. Conan and Drake gave each other a high five. Avis turned to Archie and asked if he wanted to swap, but he smiled and gave her a thumbs up. He really had forgiven her, she thought, or maybe this was some kind of ploy to put her off her guard. She glimpsed Drake and Conan to see if they were on it, but they were bouncing up and down on the trailer tires, not taking any notice of her. First, they were taught how to rig their boat correctly, following a laminated diagram and checklist. Archie was confident with this. He'd done a fair bit of sailing with his uncle in the Sounds. He showed Avis how to clip the boom onto the mast and checked the ropes before hoisting the white sail. I might get seasick, she confided in him. It's something to do with the mismatch of information between my eyes and my feet and my inner ear. Then she wished she hadn't told him. That was more ammunition he could use to tease her. It won't be so bad in a tiny boat, said Archie. You're close to the water and you'll be pretty busy with all the ropes and stuff. You'll be fine, but I'll go first if you like. He gave her a reassuring smile as he clipped his life jacket. Thanks, she said, feeling reassured. After further instruction from Freddie and a demonstration from Charlotte and Sam, the first of each pair was ready to go. There's a lot of traffic on the water today, guys, said Freddie. Sure is a great day for messing around in the boats, but stay inside our boundaries. Avis gazed across the calm water of the harbour to see if she could see Noah's Ark. She felt a worry tummy squiggle as she pictured Melinda and Mr. Papaloo getting arrested. With a cry of, "Sails away!" Freddie and Libby buzzed out into the rubber rescue boat, while Charlotte and Sam helped launching each boat. Mr. Hawk had his phone out, taking photos. "Smile for the class blog," he said. Conan stood up in his boat and smiled, and caused the first capsize of the day. Luckily, he was right near the ramp and was helped quickly upright. "Idiot!" yelled Drake from the shore. Archie at the helm of their boat headed out confidently, sailing around the buoy markers. Avis thought he made it look so easy. She waved encouragingly while waiting for her turn. Some of the other sailors struggled to catch a slight breeze in their sails, while others found it and raced off. Ariana called for help quickly when the wind caught Caitlin's sail, taking her quickly across the boundary buoys. The rescue boat steered close and Freddie helped her switch sides and made her back inside the safety zone. From the shore, Drake yelled at Conan to go faster. That resulted in the second capsize of the day. Amid the children's voices, the lapping water, the slap of sails, the buzz of outboard motors, and the call of gulls, Avis thought she could detect another noise. A sort of hum. Humbit? No, it was a motorized buzzing. She looked up and saw, high above, a metallic black drone with a camera. The sunlight was glancing off the lens. She poked her tongue out at it. Mr. Hawk marched up to the boat ramp and gestured angrily at the drone, which was hovering over the group of students. Then he saw the operator. Avis saw him too. Ugh, not him. It was Todd Raynard, the reporter who had splashed photos of Avis and her family across the gossip magazines. The other kids on shore all turned and watched the red-headed man with the neatly groomed beard and fashionable sunglasses stride over to Mr. Hawk. "I have permission to film here," he said in a clear voice. "I'm on official press business. We've been advised about a protest event on the harbour today, so I need to get my drone in position." "No, you don't," said Mr. Hawk. "And you don't have permission to film these children." "In the public interest," started the reporter. Then he turned to Avis. "Hello, Avis. I thought I recognized your sweet features in the camera lens. Is your boyfriend here too?" He looked around and waved in a friendly manner to Drake. "Hi, boyfriend. How about follow-up photos?" He's not my boyfriend, said Avis. Oh, I see, said Todd. You've moved on already. Like mother, like daughter. Avis, the bravest, put her hands on her hips. My mother is a good person, and Aaron is just doing his job. You are a nosy, creepy stalker, and the people who buy your magazines are nosy, creepy stalkers too. Todd glanced up at his hovering drone. Thank you, Avis. That last quote is going to make a great headline. People who read our magazines love to take offense. He rubbed his hands together. Cha-ching! Leave. Now, said Mr. Hawk, removing his floppy hat and flapping it at the drone, which lifted higher out of the way. Move right now, and if you publish any of the footage of my pupils, I'll make sure you end up in court. The sight of her usually quietly spoken teacher standing up to her enemy thrilled Avis. It looked like it might work too. Todd Reynard was taking a step back when from across the harbour came the klaxon call, a hooting siren echoing across the harbour. All the crafts that had been messing around on the float turned around towards the channel, forming a protest flotilla. Todd Reynard clumsily landed the drone on the weedy patch and snatched his phone. He yelled at someone who was waiting in the car. He was in the wrong location to see the action. Quick as a wink, Mr. Hawk scooped up the drone from the grass. I'm confiscating this, he said. He strode quickly to the minibus and deposited the drone on the driver's seat and locked the door. The students whooped and cheered him on. Avis was the loudest. You'll be hearing from the police, yelled Todd Reynard, his face turning red as his shiny beard. A car pulled up behind him and he jumped in. They sped away on the hill towards the port. Avis turned back to the boats gathering on the harbour. She thought she recognised Noah's Ark with 3 passengers on board. Help is on the way. She wanted to tell Mother. The media attention will make the government stop the drilling rig. Below all the noise, very faintly, Avis sensed a muffled vibration. Thrum. Thrum. Stop them. Avis looked back at the pile of backpacks beside the minivan, where Drake Snelling was loitering. Drake Snelling lifted one of them. Drake Snelling stuck his hand inside. Drake Snelling pulled his hand out and held aloft a glowing red stone. Her dragon's tear. Thrum. Avis, stop them. And that wraps up today's tale on Spin Me a Tale. But don't wander too far. Join me next Saturday at 9:30 a.m. on Plains Media, broadcasting on 96.9 FM for the next episode in our journey. If you want to relive the magic, all past episodes are waiting at plains.org.nz. Let your imagination stay wide awake.